Hollywood is a place where empires are built overnight and destroyed even faster. You can spend decades climbing to the top, earning respect, adoration, millions of fans, only to watch it all vanish because of one explosive moment. A single slap, one interview, a leaked message. That's all it takes. In this industry, every move is magnified, every word is recorded, and one mistake can turn your dream into a nightmare that never ends. Today we're diving into 10 actors who lost everything in seconds, and some of these stories will genuinely shock you. For decades, Will Smith was untouchable. From his breakout as the Fresh Prince to blockbusters like Men in Black and Independence Day, he was the definition of Hollywood royalty. Charming, talented, beloved by millions. Everyone wanted to be like Will. But on March 27, 2022, at the 94th Academy Awards, that image shattered in front of the entire world. Chris Rock stepped on stage and made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head, referencing G.I. Jane. Will laughed at first, sitting in the audience like everyone else. Then something shifted. He stood up, walked onto that stage, and slapped Chris Rock across the face on live television. The room went silent. Millions watching at home couldn't believe what they just witnessed. Will walked back to his seat and screamed, "Keep my wife's name out your F-king mouth."
Wife's name out your fucking mouth!
Wow, dude!
That moment replayed everywhere, on every screen, in every country, for weeks. Later that night, Will won Best Actor for King Richard. He gave a tearful speech about protecting his family, but critics noticed he never actually apologized to Chris Rock directly until the next day. The Academy asked him to leave. He refused. Within days, he resigned from the Academy entirely, but that wasn't enough. They banned him from all Oscar-related events for the next 10 years. Chris Rock chose not to press charges, but Hollywood didn't let it go. Projects got shelved. Jokes became endless. Fast forward to 2025, and Will's mounting one of the most calculated comebacks in Hollywood history. In September, he signed a major first-look deal with Paramount Pictures through his Westbrook company, focusing on franchise-ready blockbusters. He's got I Am Legend 2 with Michael B. Jordan in development, the sci-fi thriller Resistor based on Daniel Suarez's novel. And he's even executive producing a National Geographic docuseries called Pole to Pole, where he travels 26,000 miles from the South Pole to the North Pole. Sugar Bandits and Rabbit Hole are also in the works. Will's betting that if he floods the market with enough projects, people will forget that slap. But no matter what he does next, that moment will follow him forever. One decision, 5 seconds, and his legacy changed completely. Thomas Gibson spent over a decade as the face of Criminal Minds. As Aaron Hotchner, he was the stoic leader, the guy who caught killers and protected his team. Fans loved him. He even directed episodes showing he was more than just an actor on the show. For 12 seasons, Gibson was a staple of primetime TV until August 2016, when everything fell apart over one heated argument. During a disagreement with a writer-producer about a script, Gibson completely lost control. He kicked the man in anger. Just like that, a physical altercation on set. Word spread fast. At first, the network suspended him briefly, hoping things would cool down. They didn't. Within weeks, ABC Studios and CBS announced his termination. Then more stories came out. Turns out this wasn't his first incident. Back in 2010, he'd shoved another crew member and was sent to anger management. This time, there was no second chance. Criminal Minds wrote Hotchner off the show with a quiet exit, saying his character entered witness protection to keep his son safe. A pretty bland ending for such an explosive scandal. Since his firing, Gibson basically vanished from Hollywood. He's done a few indie films like Shadow Wolves and The Writer's Bible, nothing major. As of 2025, he's kept an extremely low profile, spending his time golfing and doing photography, living a quiet life away from the cameras. When Criminal Minds returned for a revival, he wasn't invited back. Fans who grew up watching him lead that team now remember him for one angry moment that erased 12 years of work. One kick ended everything. In 2007, Megan Fox was everywhere. After Transformers hit theaters, she went from practically unknown to a global sensation overnight. Magazine covers, red carpets, endorsement deals worth millions. She was the definition of Hollywood's it girl. Beautiful, bold, seemingly unstoppable. But in 2009, one interview with Wonderland magazine changed her trajectory forever. When asked about working with Transformers director Michael Bay, she didn't hold back. She compared him to Napoleon, and then she went further, mentioning Hitler. She described him as a nightmare on set who thrived on chaos, though she admitted she liked him for being socially awkward. The comments exploded. Michael Bay was ready to move past it, but executive producer Steven Spielberg wasn't having it. Under his direction, Fox was fired from Transformers, Dark of the Moon. Crew members piled on, calling her ungrateful and difficult to work with. Almost immediately, Hollywood labeled her a diva. Major studios stopped calling. For years, Megan Fox faded into the background, taking smaller roles and focusing on raising her 3 sons away from the spotlight. But by the late 2010s, something shifted. She started speaking openly about the misogyny she faced, how she was objectified and punished for speaking her mind. Fast forward to 2025, and Megan's having a moment again. She starred in the AI thriller Subservience, which hit Netflix, and in October she joined the cast of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 as the voice of Toy Chica, a role her kids were thrilled about. She had her 4th child, a baby girl with Machine Gun Kelly, though they've now reportedly split and are co-parenting. She made a cameo in Amazon's Overcompensating series in May. Today, Megan seems more confident than ever, no longer trying to be Hollywood's it girl, but reclaiming her story on her own terms. Still, that one interview nearly destroyed everything she'd worked for. In the 1980s, Dirty Dancing wasn't just a hit movie. It was a cultural moment. Jennifer Grey's performance as Baby alongside Patrick Swayze made her an instant icon. With her natural charm and distinctive features, she became one of Hollywood's brightest young stars, even earning a Golden Globe nomination. The future looked limitless, but in the early 1990s, one decision altered her life in ways she never imagined. Pressured by family and industry insiders who said her nose limited her casting opportunities, Jennifer agreed to get rhinoplasty. Not once, but twice. The second surgery changed her appearance so drastically that close friends didn't recognize her anymore. She later called it the nose job from hell. Overnight, she went from one of Hollywood's most recognizable faces to someone casting directors forgot existed. The roles dried up. The industry moved on without her. Tabloids mocked her as a cautionary tale of plastic surgery gone wrong. On top of that, she'd survived a devastating car crash in Ireland in 1987, just before Dirty Dancing premiered, which left her emotionally scarred for years. The combination of trauma and career collapse pushed her out of the spotlight entirely. But Jennifer eventually found peace. She reemerged in the 2010s with roles in shows like Red Oaks and Grey's Anatomy, and even won Dancing with the Stars in 2010. Recently, she released a memoir and is developing a Dirty Dancing sequel she'll star in and produce. As of 2025, Jennifer continues to work steadily in television and remains an advocate for body positivity and mental health. Today, Jennifer has reclaimed her narrative, no longer defined by that surgery, but by her strength in surviving it. When legendary Jeopardy host Alex Trebek passed away in 2020, finding his replacement became one of the most watched decisions in television. After countless guest hosts auditioned, longtime executive producer Mike Richards was announced as the new host in August 2021. It seemed like a safe choice, someone who understood the show inside and out. But within days, his past came roaring back. Old podcast recordings from the random show resurfaced, revealing a pattern of offensive comments. He made crude jokes about women, mocked coworkers, used language that critics called deeply inappropriate for someone representing a family show. Then, lawsuits from his time as executive producer on The Price is Right came to light, where several models accused him of harassment and wrongful termination. Though he denied wrongdoing, the backlash was instant and overwhelming. Richards issued an apology, calling his remarks a terribly embarrassing misjudgment. It didn't matter. Within 1 week, Sony Pictures Television forced him to step down as host. Shortly after, they removed him from his executive producer role altogether. Since his 2021 downfall, Mike Richards has disappeared from public life. No interviews, no social media presence, nothing. As of 2025, industry insiders say he's been quietly consulting behind the scenes, but no major comeback has happened. For a man entrusted with protecting one of America's most beloved game shows, the lesson was brutal. 1 week of fame undone by years of careless words he thought no one would ever hear again. For years, Paula Deen was America's queen of comfort food, the warm, butter-loving chef who turned Southern cooking into a multi-million-dollar empire. She had hit shows on Food Network, best-selling cookbooks, restaurants across the country. Her charm wasn't just about recipes, it was her personality, her laughter, her unapologetic love for indulgence. But in 2013, that empire collapsed in a scandal that shocked the nation. It started with a lawsuit from a former employee who accused Dean and her brother of fostering a workplace filled with harassment, discrimination, and racism. The allegations were serious, but what destroyed her was her own testimony. Under oath, she admitted to using racial slurs in the past. Then she described once imagining a plantation-style wedding featuring black men dressed as servants. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Food Network dropped her. Sponsors vanished overnight. Major retailers like Walmart and Target pulled her products from shelves within days. Paula Deen went from being one of television's most beloved chefs to a national pariah in less than a week. In the years since, she's worked to rebuild. She launched her own YouTube channel, opened Paula Deen's family kitchen restaurants across the South, and made occasional TV appearances. As of 2025, Paula maintains a steady but smaller presence online with her cooking channel and continues operating her restaurant chain in the South. While her reputation never fully recovered, she's found a smaller, loyal fan base. Today, she remains polarizing, admired by some for her resilience, condemned by others for what her scandal revealed about her past. In 1997, Cuba Gooding Jr. stood on stage at the Academy Awards, clutching his Oscar for Jerry Maguire, shouting, "Show me the money," as the audience roared with applause. It was pure Hollywood magic, a breakout moment that promised a legendary career. For a while, Gooding was unstoppable, starring in Men of Honor, Radio, and other hits. But decades later, his name would become associated with something far darker. In 2019, a woman accused Gooding of groping her at a New York bar. He was arrested and charged with forcible touching and sexual abuse. Soon after, dozens of women came forward with similar allegations, claiming he engaged in unwanted touching and inappropriate behavior. By October, prosecutors had indicted him on multiple counts, tied to separate incidents. The once beloved actor who embodied charisma and heart on screen now faced headlines of misconduct and betrayal. In 2022, Gooding struck a plea deal, admitting to one count of forcible touching. He avoided jail time but was ordered to complete counseling and good behavior monitoring. If he stayed out of trouble, his record would be cleared, a decision that outraged many of his accusers who felt it minimized their trauma. Since then, Gooding has largely vanished from Hollywood. He's made a few low-profile appearances in small independent projects, but his reputation remains shattered. As of 2025, Cuba Gooding Jr. has essentially disappeared from the entertainment industry, with no major projects announced. Once a symbol of joy and energy on screen, Cuba Gooding Jr. now serves as a reminder of how quickly fame fades when personal conduct overshadows talent. Shia LaBeouf's career has been a roller coaster of brilliance and chaos. Rising to fame through Disney Channel's Even Stevens and blockbusters like Transformers and Indiana Jones, he was once Hollywood's golden boy. But his personal demons caught up with him in ways that shocked everyone. In December 2020, his ex-girlfriend FKA Twigs sued him for sexual battery, assault, and infliction of emotional distress. The lawsuit painted a disturbing picture of relentless abuse during their relationship. She described emotional manipulation, physical violence, and even alleged he knowingly gave her an STD. Soon after, singer Sia came forward with similar accusations. Another ex, stylist Carolyn Foe, corroborated the pattern of abuse. The allegations were horrific, detailed, and backed up by multiple women. Shia was dropped from Don't Worry Darling and removed from Netflix's awards campaign for Pieces of a Woman. His career essentially froze. On John Bernthal's podcast in 2022, he admitted, "I FK'd up bad. I hurt a lot of people, and I'm fully aware of that." But he never directly apologized to FKA Twigs in that interview, instead focusing on his own journey toward Catholicism. In July 2025, Shia and FKA Twigs reached a private settlement, closing the lawsuit permanently. The terms remained confidential, but both released a joint statement saying they wished each other personal happiness and professional success. Since then, Shia's been slowly working his way back. He appeared in Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis in 2024, and in May 2025, he returned to Cannes with the documentary Slauson Wreck. He's also cast in upcoming films Henry Johnson and Salvable, but Hollywood remains divided on whether he deserves a second chance. For an actor who once had unlimited potential, Shia LaBeouf now represents the cost of unchecked behavior. Armie Hammer's fall might be the most disturbing story on this list. After acclaimed roles in The Social Network and Call Me By Your Name, he seemed destined for A-list stardom. He had the looks, the charm, the talent, everything Hollywood wanted in a leading man. But in January 2021, his image imploded when disturbing messages allegedly sent by him leaked online. The DMs described violent sexual fantasies and even referenced cannibalism, sparking massive public outrage. Hammer initially called the claims vicious lies, but soon multiple women came forward with their own stories of abuse and manipulation that echoed the messages. Within weeks, Hammer lost every major role. His agency, WME, dropped him. Hollywood turned its back overnight. The scandal became so notorious that Discovery Plus released House of Hammer, a docuseries exposing disturbing details about both his behavior and his family's dark history. By 2022, reports surfaced that Hammer was selling timeshares in the Cayman Islands just to make a living. But here's where the story takes a strange turn. In 2023, the Los Angeles Police Department closed their investigation with no charges filed. By late 2024, Hammer quietly started working again. He was cast in Frontier Crucible, a Western with Thomas Jane, and began collaborating with controversial director Uwe Boll on multiple projects. He even launched the Armie Hammer Time podcast, where he openly talks about his downfall. In January 2025, he told media that the worm is turning, claiming Hollywood's perception of him is shifting. He's now turning down jobs, has films in post-production, and even leans into the cannibal jokes, appearing as Cannibal Ken in a music video. He's working without agents or managers, booking everything through his lawyer. As of late 2025, Armie Hammer is attempting one of the most controversial comebacks in Hollywood history. But whether audiences will accept him remains to be seen. Whether this is a genuine comeback or just noise remains to be seen. But for a man who lost everything in 2021, he's somehow clawing his way back. At the start of 2023, Jonathan Majors was poised to reach A-list status. He had a scene-stealing role in Creed III, was set to dominate as Kang the Conqueror in the next phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and was receiving awards buzz for his haunting drama Magazine Dreams. He seemed unstoppable. Then in March 2023, everything changed when he was arrested for allegedly assaulting his ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari, during an argument. The allegations were serious, involving reckless assault and harassment. In December 2023, Majors was convicted of misdemeanor assault and harassment. Marvel immediately dropped him, erasing Kang from future plans. Magazine Dreams, which was supposed to be his Oscar vehicle, got shelved by Searchlight Pictures. His career froze overnight. In April 2024, he was sentenced to a 52-week domestic violence intervention program. Throughout 2024, Majors faced intense scrutiny over his high-profile relationship with actress Meagan Good, with critics questioning the optics. But he kept pushing forward. In 2025, Jonathan Majors is staging a calculated comeback. Magazine Dreams finally got a theatrical release on March 21st, 2025 through Briarcliff Entertainment, and despite mixed box office results, critics praised his performance. In March, he married Meagan Good in a ceremony officiated by his mother. He's been cast in 2 new films, True Threat, an action thriller where he plays a special forces officer seeking revenge for his son's murder, and Merciless, a revenge thriller about a CIA interrogator. In an emotional interview with Sherry Shepard, he revealed he was a survivor of sexual molestation at age 8. He settled his civil lawsuit with Grace Jabari in late 2024, allowing him to move forward legally, but many remain unconvinced by his comeback attempt. Critics argue he's never truly apologized or taken full accountability. Whether Hollywood fully embraces him again, or if he's relegated to smaller indie projects, remains one of 2025's biggest questions. His talent was never in doubt, but his behavior has left a permanent stain on his reputation. These stories all share one brutal truth. It doesn't matter how much success you've built, how many years you've worked, or how beloved you once were. In Hollywood, one moment of poor judgment, one leaked message, one loss of control can erase everything. Will Smith's slap will define him forever. Megan Fox's interview nearly ended her career before it even peaked. Armie Hammer went from leading man to selling timeshares in a matter of months. Shia LaBeouf's pattern of abuse cost him a decade of goodwill. Jonathan Majors watched his Marvel empire crumble in a single night. Fame is fragile, and the fall is always faster than the climb. So the next time you see a star at their peak, remember, they're only ever one decision away from losing it all. And that's the reality of Hollywood nobody talks about until it's too late.